The SOG Multitool Tellus is finally here, and there's some really exciting things about this, really cool, and some things that, wow, they just really annoy me about this tool. So you'll need to watch the full video to get the full range of information, but let's go ahead and get started with a couple things I really do like. Now, why I'm starting with the positives is because SOG has not released a new multi-tool in a while, and I am just excited that they have actually tried something, so I'm feeling a little bit extra generous. And I do like SOG. I feel like a lot of times they're the underdog, and I do like to root for them. Now, the first thing about this is I really like that they have gone with something different than just a normal set of pliers, and they have tried to do something almost like the Knipex Cobra XS. So I actually want to bring that in here. So here is the Cobra. I'm going to open this up as far as I can right here. And you can tell right off the bat that these are far wider. So let's go ahead, open this up almost as well as far as I can. And yeah, you can still open these up way further. But I do applaud SOG for trying. So no, these pliers will not replace your Knipex Cobra pliers, but at least they are designed a little bit differently. And some people may find these very useful. And I even think that I might find these a little bit more useful at my work for what I do. So I think I may give this a month or two and see how this works out. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about is price. That is where this multi-tool really shines because it comes in at $59. And why that sounds like a bunch in today's economy, that is extremely cheap. I mean, that is like bargain basement. $59. I mean, Leatherman, it looks like will be charging maybe $250 for their new Leatherman Wave. $59 is about what, a fifth of that. So yeah, this is relatively a very small, or not a very small tool, but a very cheap tool. Another huge point in the SOG Tellus's favor is that it is very light, 193 grams, or when we turn it over to ounces, 6.8 ounces. So that's almost 2 ounces lighter than the Leatherman Wave, which is already a fairly pocketable tool. So this tool is very light. I really love how light it is. Now, when we compare it to the Power Access, SOG Power Access, it's just the Power Access is only a little bit lighter, so SOG has really done a great job keeping the weight down on this tool. Now, this tool comes in at about 4¼ inches, so this will be closed, something comparable more to the Leatherman Free series. Right there comes in about 4¼ at its longest, or 11 centimeters, just under 11. Very, very close to the Leatherman Free series. As we look at the scales on here, these are G10 scales that SOG says are great so that they're non-slip and that they ensure sure grip in any weather is exactly what SOG says about these scales. I do like them okay. I think they're fine. I do worry because it seems like SOG has relied so much on the G10 scales that when you look at the metal inside, yeah, it looks like they have really shaved the weight down. I mean, really done it. So when you squish, I guess not right there, but there, yeah, right there, you can move this whole tool. Now, I'll have to see maybe later if you can do that with a Leatherman Charge with the G10 scales. I'm not sure, but I know SOG has really tried to cut the weight, but I'm afraid they've cut it maybe a little too much. They might have got a little too excited. So the fourth way that these are different is that the SOG Tellus definitely has a lot nicer knife than previous SOGs. I feel like that is a huge upgrade. For the Power Access, it will be about the same price, probably about the same length, frame length, but the SOG Tellus has such a nicer knife. It looks way nicer, and so I think that's a huge plus. So this is where things get a little dicey because we start seeing some of the flaws of this tool. Now, the good thing still is that it has these pliers to some extent, but then you have to open them up very wide to use their full potential, which is a big downfall for a lot of SOGs. And so what could have been a great set of pliers if they had maybe made it slip jointed or something like that, now unfortunately it's just not as useful as it could be. I do like the compound leverage, though I did feel like maybe it meshed quite as well as some of the other ones out there, but you do have the compound leverage. It is spring loaded, but it's a little bit of a slow spring. We've got a spring there. I guess it just feels a little lackluster. It doesn't feel like an extremely heavy duty spring, but it does snap back to some extent. Now, this is one of my bigger complaints about this tool, is that mine came rather shoddy out of the box. So here we have the spring, we're closing, and as we close, this top piece begins to rub against the metal. Now, I've opened it and closed it enough that I think it stopped rubbing as much, but when I got out of the package, it automatically had a very audible like twang sound. It was metal against metal, and that's really unfortunate. I mean, this is brand new, and yeah, that spring was hitting that piece right there. It's not a huge deal, I guess, but I think for a lot of people, anything like that, if they've already heard bad things about SOG, will automatically turn them off. Yeah, not a good look for SOG. When we talk about tools on the outside, that's where all the good things are happening. On the inside, it really gets sketchy. But let's go ahead, look at this knife again. I really like the look of this knife. I just probably need to measure, see how long this is. The knife itself is about 2.5 inches. It is under that 3-inch minimum that some people will have an issue with, or maximum maybe. And this, if you just saw it, this is another huge issue people have with this tool. You have to reach inside to unlock it. That is really weird. Now, SOG has all kinds of really clever unlocking mechanisms, just like the Leatherman Free series. I have no idea why they decided if you deploy this knife, then you have to reach in the handle and unlock it. And it's not a very easy unlocking system either. It's a little bit tough. But anyway, I do like the knife. The knife is cool. And then these implements do not have the catch system that you will see on other tools. So for instance, in the Power Access, they have these notches where you can grab on. It is not the case except, I guess, for even the Phillips is sort of lost. So I don't know if these notches are meant to grab on. I don't really understand how they work. I've just got this tool today, but so far that doesn't really make sense. They have a notch here, but how are you supposed to open this up and then access it, I guess? I don't know. That's a little different to me. I think that's a little bit of a loss, or a big loss for SOG. But the tools themselves are nice. Can opener right there. Pretty nice looking can opener. The Phillips screwdriver, which is pretty common to SOG. And then the bottle opener right there with the screwdriver on the end. And then on the other side, I do feel like this saw is actually, I think this is maybe better than other saws I have seen on SOG. So I actually feel like this is an improvement. I do like this saw. And then I like the thumb studs on both the knife and the saw. But then we come back to this weird locking system. So I feel like SOG has some pretty cool upgrades in this tool, and then they just shoot themselves in the foot. And then take a look at this. Now, some of you will like this maybe. Some of you, I don't know, you may hate this. All the tools lock outside and inside, but you have to open this tool up to get to these tools. And then you have this double-sided file. And then what I don't understand at all is this like beveled edge right there. What is that? So I just looked at the packaging, and actually they label the file as the Ferro rod striker. So this Ferro rod does come in the package. Let's go ahead and close this up and I guess see how that works. There we go. Yeah. So it does work, except it sort of leaves a nasty residue on the file. I'm not sure how many people want to do that, but the file does definitely work. So now we come up with the mystery of the chisel. SOG on their packaging says that one of these screwdrivers is a chisel. Now they say one of these is a micro driver and one of them is a chisel. Now, I don't think either looks like a chisel in my book. Both of these look like a normal screwdriver. This looks like a larger screwdriver, and this one right here looks like a micro screwdriver. So I have no clue where the chisel comes up with. If I get this box out, you can see right there it labels this as the chisel and this as the fine flat head screwdriver. Now, so I don't know why that's a chisel, but it seems like the packaging is done wrong, or who knows, maybe they're just using the screwdriver as a chisel. And then this is the awl. And so I think this is where things get a little bit weird, because this awl is maybe the smallest awl I've ever seen. I don't think it's even a Phillips screwdriver tip. I think it's maybe just almost like something from the PowerPint, the flat screwdriver that they've ground down and called it an awl. That seems very random to me. I can see that because it's so small, maybe being able to punch holes and being more useful for some people. But I do think it also will be a lot more flimsy as well, and there's no eyelet. So that is a negative. Now we come to the scissor test, and I feel like SOG usually does pretty bad with this, so I'm already a little bit biased. And wow, those scissors are so much better than the PowerPint. Let me pull the PowerPint back out here. What is going on? Have they redone their scissors? So here's the PowerPint. Yeah, it just chaws through the paracord. I was fully expecting these to be bad scissors. Man, they're actually good. How is that possible? So that might be the biggest news out of this whole tool, is that SOG has finally found out how to make good scissors. That's crazy. It seems like it took maybe being bought over by a huge company, maybe having these made in China, even, I don't know, designed in China, who knows, but they got the scissors right. Now, the bad thing is your fingers lie right in these edges on the G10, and so your fingers, it's not a comfortable spot right there. It sort of digs into my fingers, at least, a little bit, but I guess you can learn how to sort of hold your hands there, but yeah, not my most favorite position for the scissors. No bit kit comes with this tool, but you can buy the SOG 1/4" bits and then the adapter that fits on some of their tools. And this right here is a 1/4" bit, and it fits very nice and snug at the end here. Fits right in with the magnet. Yeah, very, very nice. Now, this is just a first look. Probably I will try to compare this to some other tools in the future. I feel like I need to learn this tool a little bit more, work with it, and figure out some more of its pluses and minuses. But overall, there are some things I'm very surprised about. Very surprised about the scissors. I'm hoping that these pliers will be a little bit better than I thought they might be. Maybe they'll be able to handle a little bit larger nuts and bolts. So we'll have to see. I'll test them out. And then the knife, very pleasantly surprised. But then as you can see, there are some big negatives as well. Is it worth $59? I don't know. And then I think Blade HQ and other places are charging around $75. But on Frank's Great Outdoors, that's the website, I found this for $59, and then I paid for quick shipping, so it ended up being $69, but still pretty cheap price for multi-tools these days from one of the big four. But is it worth it? I'll let it up to you to decide. Also, it does come with this pouch, a Velcro pouch. It's nice, it's okay. It doesn't look, I was expecting it to have a little bit more of like a clip or something. Yeah, it's definitely a little cheap. It does have the name of it, but not that great. And then you can, I guess, let's see, one of these places, yeah, you can stick the ferro rod in there, and then you can stick the tool in there, and then you've got your outdoor camping tool, I suppose. In the future, I think we'll talk about who this is aimed for and a lot more of that. But again, this is an introductory video. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about this new tool from SOG.